Man, it's that time of the year again. Y'all hear the music. It's the WC. Back with another brand new video. It's an annual video. It's the NFL Draft Review. Top 10 picks. Now in this video, it's self-explanatory. We're going to be going over the top 10 picks in the NFL Draft. We're going to give you guys the review of the players, how they fit in with their teams, and overall draft grade. And I'll also be telling you about guys that I think that people should keep an eye on that didn't go in the top 10. So I'll give you a few guys afterwards, and then I'll tell you guys about how these players kind of fit in with their squads and everything. In the background of this video, and I won't be really talking about it too much, is gameplay. I'm the Saints against somebody that's playing with the Giants. It's a really good gameplay. I wanted to make sure that I uploaded this along with this video. So with all that said, the Cleveland Browns are on the clock, and with the first overall pick, the Cleveland Browns selected Myles Garrett, defensive end, Texas A&M. Now, I've heard a lot about Myles Garrett. I've watched a couple of the Texas A&M games. Myles Garrett has a lot of potential, man. Like I can see him being somewhat of a, I'm hearing a lot of people say that he's kind of like a Robert Mathis, like that speed rush type of guy coming from off the corner. He's not Javion Clowney. He is not that. All right, nowhere close to that. But I think that he has just as much upside. Cleveland needs everything. Okay, let's be honest here. Cleveland needs everything. We're talking about taking a quarterback in this spot would have been a mistake. But this guy does have a good ceiling. It's just that he does take a few plays off, and they said that Kuiper. I'm watching ESPN. Kuiper said that he kind of mirrors Julius Peppers a little bit. I don't see Julius Peppers in him. I just see a guy that's a really good speed rusher. He has good speed off the corner, but his efforts in the question. I'm gonna tell you like this. I give this pick maybe a B-. I mean, I just don't like it necessarily for Cleveland, because Cleveland needs everything. I mean, for real. Like, if this is a team that was on the verge of making the playoffs last year, and they pick up a guy like Myles Garrett, then okay. But I just ain't feeling it. I'm gonna be real with you. Next on the clock is the Chicago Bears, and the Bears took with the second overall pick Michael Trubisky, quarterback from out of North Carolina. Now, green is kind of the word that I would use for Michael Trubisky. Like, this is just another guy. I think that he's coming out too early. I mean, I do think that he's coming out too early. He's a guy that could just about make every throw on the field. His deep ball accuracy is not great. Like I said, he's got the stature. He does have the pocket sense. Chicago needs just another team that just kind of needs everything, man. They need wide receivers, they need defense, they need everything. And they have a quarterback there already that they're planning to go with going into the season, so they don't have to throw this guy into the fire. He kind of reminds me of a Tannehill a little bit. Like, he's capable. He can make some plays on the run, use his feet to make some throws. Decision making is not great, but it is what it is. I'll give this pick, and like I said, I know I'm being harsh. I'll give this pick a B-. This is just another pick that I'm just not completely feeling, but this makes more sense for Chicago to go here than where Cleveland went with the first. I'm gonna tell you like this: Cleveland just couldn't win with the first overall pick. They should have just traded out of that position. Maybe for an established quarterback. Maybe they could have tried to. Maybe they could have bribed the Chargers for Phillip Rivers or something. They could have done something with that first overall pick. They didn't need to take Myles Garrett there, but I digress. Next on the clock is the San Francisco 49ers, and they took with the third overall pick Solomon Thomas, defensive tackle, Stanford. Now, if the Browns had went here, I think that I would have probably liked it a little bit better, but it's still somewhat in the neighborhood. Like, Solomon Thomas is like a bull rusher. He's not Vince Wilfork. They compared him to Michael Bennett. I think that that's the closest to it without being like completely over the top or anything like that. You know, the guy's got a good frame. He's got a good work ethic. You know, I've seen tape of him while he was at Stanford. Got a good motor. And let's be real, San Francisco couldn't stop anybody last year. All right, so you know, them getting a guy that can kind of control the middle is something that they definitely need. This is probably the best pick I've seen so far out of the top 3 picks. This makes probably the most sense. All right, this pick gets an A. I'm not going to get I'm not going to give it a minus or a plus. I'm just going to give it an A because I think that, you know, having a run stopper, a guy that can kind of control the defensive line for the 49ers is a good start because they need everything. They could have took, you know, Deshaun Watson here too, but I think that this is, you know, the groundwork pick that they needed to make. Is he going to be like a 5-time, 6-time Pro Bowler? Who knows? But he definitely has the frame for it. Definitely has the motor for it. I think it's one of the most solid picks that I've seen. You know, out of the top 3, for sure. Out of the top 3, definitely. All right, next on the clock is the Jacksonville Jaguars, and with the 4th overall pick, the Jaguars selected Leonard Fournette, running back, LSU. The guy is just really smooth. I mean, he's a very, very smooth looking runner, but he's very powerful, very violent. I mean, he's not like, how can I kind of explain what he is? He's not an Eddie George, you know what I'm saying? Because Eddie George was elusive. He's not Reggie Bush because he's not as fast as Reggie Bush. He's more so of a, you know, he kind of reminds me of a Thurman Thomas a little bit. Like like he's running, but it just doesn't look like he's running too hard or too fast because he's looking for ways to kind of get around you or run you over. And like, you know, I think that he works well with what Jaguars are trying to do. Blake Bortles needs all the help he can get there in Jacksonville. Let's be real. I mean, I feel bad for Blake Bortles. I think that this guy is a step in the right direction, but you know, like he's not Ezekiel Elliott, you know what I'm saying? That's not a knock on him, but you know, he's a very polished running back. I think that, you know, he should be able to be a workhorse for Jacksonville, you know, going down the line, a guy that they can use on goal line situations. I think he's big enough to do that. So I'll give this pick a B. I know the people gonna flip out when they hear this video. Another B? Yeah, a B. I think that it's a good pick, but you know, it's just gonna have to wait and see on this one. All these picks are wait and see picks, but I'm more so wait and see on Leonard Fournette on this one. All right, next up on the clock is the Tennessee Titans, and with the 5th overall pick, the Tennessee Titans selected Corey Davis, wide receiver, Western Michigan. I mean, like Corey Davis, from what I've seen, the tapes of him, the guy reminds me of a few guys. He reminds me of Plaxico Burress a little bit. He reminds me of Pierre Garçon, just a really tough wide receiver. Only difference between him and Pierre is that Pierre can make those tough catches. And like, you know, there was a couple passes where I'm looking at Corey Davis like, how big are you? And you dropping that? But overall, man, overall talent, I think that he is really good, man. I'm surprised that Tennessee went in this direction because it seems like they have a few good wide receivers there. But when you really look at it, Tennessee doesn't have like that foot in the ground, you know what I'm saying, throw the ball up to him and he'll catch it wide receiver. They don't have that. Even though Mariota had a great season last year, he didn't have that. So I already like Corey Davis. I think that out of all the picks that I've seen so far, he's probably the guy that can come in game 1 and have, 100 yards. All right, I'll give this pick an A based off of the raw potential of Corey Davis. Because like I said, when I first seen tape of him, I was like, yeah, that's definitely Plaxico. That's maybe Pierre Garçon with the breakaway speed and the viciousness of how he finishes his runs. I really like this pick for Tennessee. Next on the clock is the Jets. Oh, y'all Jets fans out there. And with the 6th overall pick, the New York Jets selected Jamal Adams, safety, LSU. I'm not going to say that Jamal Adams is Ronnie Lott. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to say he's Polamalu. I'm not going to say he's none of those games, right? But what I will say is that he's a very, very complete player coming out of, LSU. And I think that, you put that guy in there game one, I think that you'll see the results of, his fundamentals, his vision. And that's one of the things that's underrated, I think, very much so in the NFL, is on a defense is having a super safety or smart safety, being able to make every single play on the field, and then being a guy that you can bring into the box, bring into the eighth guy in the box to make solid tackles. That's what, I'm looking at Adams, and I'm saying that that's what he is out the box. Probably one of the most complete players out the box in the draft from the defensive side of the ball. All right, I give this pick an A. I think that this is a very good pick. It's a very underrated pick, and people don't usually take super safety, smart safeties high in the draft. I think that the Jets got this right because you got Tom Brady in that division still, and he's been lighting the Jets up forever. So I really do like this pick. This is an A. I want to give it an A+, but I'll hold back because like I said, there's a few things that I don't necessarily love about it, but it's really good for the Jets. So next on the clock is the San Diego. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. I almost said San Diego Superchargers. All right, it's the LA Chargers. Can y'all freaking believe that these guys are the LA Chargers now? They're on the clock with the 7th overall pick, and they selected Mike Williams, wide receiver, Clemson. Now, I really like this pick for the LA Chargers because of the fact that it kind of seemed like Phillip Rivers didn't have anybody to really throw the ball to in San Diego last year. And I felt bad for him. But even though he didn't really have a bunch of guys to throw the ball to in San Diego last year, he was still able to, to do what he does, like do what Phillip Rivers does. When I look at Mike Williams, he reminds me of another Mike Evans, Tampa Bay wide receiver. Just, maybe not as big or thick as a Mike Evans, but this guy's a finisher. I mean, this guy just kind of just goes up and grabs the ball completely out of the air. You know what I'm saying? I think that he'll immediately shoot to the top of that depth chart there in LA and become the #1 wide receiver there. I think that his impact day one will be seen, and I really do like this pick for San Diego. Just looking at that San Diego offense, adding in a Mike Williams into that, I mean, just sit back, just take a step back and just really think about it. Man, that's really good. All right, next on the clock is the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers had a real bad season last year after that Super Bowl appearance. So with the 8th overall pick, the Panthers selected Christian McCaffrey, running back, maybe wide receiver from out of Stanford. Christian McCaffrey, the first thing that I thought about when I heard Christian McCaffrey's name on my screen, I was like, okay, this is Danny Woodhead 2.0. This is basically what he is. He's Danny Woodhead with stronger legs. That's basically what he is. He's a do-everything running back. He's a punt returner. He's a kickoff returner. There's really no kickoffs or anything going on in the NFL nowadays anyway. He's a skill player. It's something that, it just kind of takes the Panthers offense to a different level. You know what I'm saying? When you have a player like this that can just kind of line up his slot, you know what I'm saying, run a couple dig routes, run a couple screen plays. It's a dynamic player, and I really like it for Cam Newton in that offense because it just kind of felt like, last season that Cam and those guys were kind of one-dimensional now. But you get a guy like, Christian McCaffrey, do I think that he went a little bit high? Yes, but I like it for the Panthers. This pick gets an A+, and the reason why it gets an A+ is because the Panthers already have a dynamic offense with Cam Newton, and this is the first A+ that I've given out now. And the reason why I'm giving it an A+ because this is a clear fit for this offense. This offense was anemic last year at times, so you insert a guy like McCaffrey. Like I said, he's like Danny Woodhead. This is nothing but goodness for the Panthers. Next on the clock, the Cincinnati Bengals will pick number 9, and they selected John Ross, wide receiver, Washington. This guy's fast. All right, I'm just gonna I'm just gonna let you know. What does 422 mean to you? And it clearly means a lot to Cincinnati because they took this guy within the top 10 picks. Clear cut, no hesitation, A+ pick, because you know Andy Dalton is one of those guys where he could just kind of make every throw on the field. AJ Green had a really terrible injury last year, the end of his season. You put a guy like Rawson in there, and one thing that I worry about with Ross, this is probably the only thing that I worry about with Ross, is that you know his hands. He's one of those guys where you know these speed guys, they can outrun you, but those hands got to be good. And his route running has to be great. Just because you're quick don't mean that you can run routes great. All right, so there's a little bit that needs to be worked on there. I don't think that it's going to take him too long to become one of the featured threats in the NFL. He'll definitely be on the punt return team with Cincinnati. This guy's explosive. Watch out for this guy. This is definitely one of the picks, you know what I'm saying, that I really like. A+ pick for Cincinnati. When you think about Cincinnati, you don't think about, oh my God, super speed. You don't think about that. Now you do. All right, with this guy, John Ross. Really good pick. Next on the clock, the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are on the clock at the 10th spot. And they selected with the 10th overall pick. Now, let me clear this up real quick. This was a trade. The Bills were in the number 10 spot, but they traded out of this spot, got a couple players, got a couple picks, couple additional stuff. So with this pick, the Kansas City Chiefs selected Patrick Mahomes, quarterback from out of Texas Tech. Now, I got a few mixed feelings about Patrick Mahomes because I've actually watched this guy. All right, this guy can make just about every throw on the field, but there's just like I think that he lets his instinct kind of take over too much. You know what I'm saying? And his raw athleticism kind of makes up for it. So it's like he'll make a throw, and you'll be like, you know, come on, man, like really? And then he'll make another throw where it's like, all right, that's the way that it's done. Does he have like the NFL prototype body? Not necessarily. Does he have the ability to make every single throw on the field? You know, his father was, I think, a pitcher. Grandfather was a pitcher, I think. And you know, so this guy is a pure athlete, so he shouldn't have any type of problem. You know what I'm saying? Transitioning over to the NFL. One thing that I question about the Chiefs is, you got Alex Smith. Are they trying to redshirt this guy for sure? Do they want this guy to eventually take over for Alex Smith? Are they basically planning for the future? Want to get rid of this guy? So, you know, Patrick Mahomes is a good pick, but for the Chiefs, it's just like, you know, as far as like putting him out there, you know, immediately, I don't think so. This guy's got to be redshirted. So that's the top 10 picks, man, as advertised. Top 10 picks in the NFL draft. The draft grades, man. I mean, let me just kind of go down the line and just say that I really like what the Bengals did. I think that was probably the best pick for as far as like immediate impact. But everybody that's been taken in the first round is a project pick for the most part. All of them are impact players. There's a few players that I want to name off, all right, that have not been drafted yet, that I think will be drafted high, and I think that, you know, everybody should kind of watch out for them. So because of the fact that this is the top 10 picks and this is not top 15, they might go right after I finish this. Okay, so you got Malik Mahomes, you got Dalvin Cook, you got Reuben Foster, OJ Howard, another OJ, Derek Barnett, another guy, Jonathan Allen. We got a few other guys, Jabril Peppers, another guy I'm keeping an eye on. Deshaun Watson, who I'm surprised didn't even crack the top 10. I'm just going to go ahead and put that out there. I'm surprised that Deshaun did not crack the top 10, but he didn't. Hudson Reddick, hopefully I said his name right, because you know people got accents on their name. Forrest Lamp, a couple of deeper guys, you know what I'm saying, I'm keeping the eye on. Charles Harrison is another guy that I would keep my eye on. Some of these guys will go next round. So it is what it is, man. Let me know how you guys feel about the top 10 picks in the NFL draft. I know some people might be mad that I completely ignored the gameplay in the background. Spoiler alert, I won the game. All right. You know what I'm saying? By this time it's in the fourth quarter. I win the game. I came back. I thought I was going to get my ass completely kicked by this guy in this game. That's why I went for it on what, 4th and 3 or something early in the ball game. It was a really good game. I was able to put them away, run out the clock and everything, all that good stuff. So let me know how you guys feel about the top 10 picks in the NFL draft. It's been the WC. Alright, with another classic, instant classic video. Alright. And until next time, folks, peace out.